You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Good morning, a little bit early today, but glad to have you with us for the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. A busy lineup for you today. It's the River to River preview, of course, of our 3-week football previews. Next week, of course, will be South 7, as well as some other guests that we weren't able to catch up to in the prior 2 weeks. But this week, it's the River to River, Ohio and Mississippi, and we have a loaded lineup for you. We'll, of course, have Al Martin of the DuQuoin Indians, Tim Kuhn of the Nashville Hornets, Jason Carnes of the Heron Tigers will stop by, as will Jason Roper. So it'll be back-to-back Jasons here on the Saturday Sports Show. We'll talk about the Harrisburg Bulldogs, their run to the semifinals last year. We'll talk with Brian Beery, of course, of West Frankfort. Brett Dietering, of course, the Nashville native coaching at Anna Jonesboro. We'll have Jeremy Claudefelder, of course, of the Benton Rangers. And Todd Rushing will stop by as well. Of course, many remember him from his expert tutelage there in Pinckneyville. Of course, we'll tell you why we have him on in just a little bit. All of that plus the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week, which will be on Facebook here before you know it. And, of course, you'll hear it with our very first guest, Al Martin, of course, coming right up here on the Saturday Sports Show, brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
There's Danny Zerwinski. Of course, I'm Chris Hugo. We're here with you till 10 o'clock. We need to sneak out for a very quick break, and when we come back, it'll be DuQuoin Indians head coach Al Martin here on the Saturday Sports Show from WMIX Sports.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic-trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
At Schmidt Chevrolet, we're out to please the customer, and I think that we've got the best service department in town. There's nobody that takes care of their customers like we do at Schmidt Chevrolet. We've got great deals on tires, brakes, anything that you need for your car, we can provide them here. And that's just not on Chevrolets alone. We actually do routine maintenance on any type of vehicle.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
Everybody get up.
Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski in studio for you. River to River preview today of our three-week football preview run. Next week, the South 7 Conference. Our first guest this week, of course, we're all brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital, I might add. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
There we go. Al Martin, the DuQuoin Indians, joins us now. Of course, the Indians last year had a nice run in the postseason, ran into a pair in back-to-back weeks of 9-0 teams, handled Bismarck hitting. Of course, it was a 7-6, very close game. Fell to Camp Point Central last year. But, Coach Martin, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Glad to have you on the Saturday Sports Show. Of course, a 9-3 season last year. Very, very familiar with DuQuoin Indian football, of course, all across the state. Its prestigious run over the past 20, 30 years, of course. But you come off a 9-3 season last year where you run into Johnson City at home. You're able to handle them 47-12. You have Bismarck hitting, of course, I believe, on the road, a very close 7-6 game. You run into another 9-0 team, Camp Point Central, in the quarterfinals, and though it was just a touchdown margin, I think you still have to define the 2012 season as a very significant success for the Indians.
It was a good season for us, and it was, we felt like it was, a lot of fun to come back. The previous year we kind of had a down year, and the kids bounced back, and we had an exciting team to play with. We had an outstanding quarterback in Brendan Fred, and we had a lot of receivers, and it was a lot of fun to kind of run our offense, and the kids ran around on defense, and it was a fun season for us. It was just an exciting team to be around, and we had some exciting games, especially in the playoffs.
Very exciting times as you roll into 2013. A group last year, you lost a lot of talented athletes that helped out in all sports at the high school. Coming into 2013, how many starters do you return on both sides of the football?
Well, we don't return very many starters, but we've got several kids that played football for us last year, but we really only return about 3 starters. So we're regrouping a lot. We're having to kind of really regroup with our team and kind of build our team around the talent that we have. So it's going to be a year where we're really trying to get back to what we feel like we can do with these kids and try to just execute the fundamentals and then build from there.
When you look at DuQuoin, I think when you look at the South 7 schools in high school football, sometimes if you're too big enrollment-wise, it's hard to find games for the South 7 schools in Southern Illinois. For DuQuoin, a lot of times DuQuoin is quote-unquote too good, win every year, tough to beat and tough to get a win on the schedule. Have you run into problems in recent years with the schedule, or has it pretty much stayed the same for scheduling non-conference games at DuQuoin?
Well, we're not one that bounces around with our schedule, and we get people that we're competitive with, and we try to stick with them. And we're opening up with Highland, and we get along with those guys, and they're a good football team, but they got some numbers on us now, a lot of numbers. They're 5A, and our enrollment keeps dropping. We're under 400. And we're 2A, but that's just stuff we have to deal with. If we can get through our schedule and get into the playoffs, and we feel like we'll be a pretty good football team. But we do have a tough schedule as far as playing bigger opponents. But we don't talk a whole lot about it. The kids don't even think about it. It's just something that we just take for granted that we're going to be playing Highland, Harrisburg, and Heron first 3 games, and we expect to put our kids out there and be competitive with them.
Look at your schedule. 5 of your first 7 games are on the road this year. How important is that going to be as far as dealing with a very young team and trying to get them through the rigors of being on the road that many times?
Well, that's going to be tough. We just, it's tough enough having a young team, but then being on the road. We're just going to have to try to keep things simple and keep things try to do things that we can do. And right now in preseason, that's kind of what we're trying to figure out, and try to figure out what's best for our team. And you can do a lot of things in the summertime, but until you get here, right here where you're really competing and going against yourselves, and you kind of find out some things, and we're hoping to find out how our team stacks up before we get into the season, so we can make adjustments. So we're working hard in the preseason.
Working hard in practice today with the new adjustment and new schedule of football practice, a lot different than in recent years. How have you guys as a coaching staff been handling the changes as far as getting the work needed done for the opening game?
Well, everybody does a lot of work in the summertime, and we felt like we did a lot of work in the summertime. And right now, we're really trying to get into the actual physical part of the game without getting anybody hurt. And I think that's a big challenge. Is you don't have many practices once the season starts. You don't we didn't have any 2-a-days this year, and you don't have many practices. So you really have to get into the physical part of the game, and at the same time, you don't want to beat your team up. So that's a big challenge right now with the way the schedule is to try to get your team prepared without getting anybody hurt.
Final question. We know you got practice this morning and things to run. Being a school teacher, I know you'll be able to answer this question for us. It's our social media question of the week. This week's question is, what was your favorite subject in school?
I think my favorite subject probably was math. I liked the challenge of it. I found out that if I didn't do the work every day, and get the basics down, that I wasn't successful. But if I did do the work, did do the basics of the math, then I had more success. And it's something that you couldn't cheat on, and you had to get the basics. And until I figured that out, sometimes I struggled with it. But after I figured out that I had to get the work done, and that's kind of the way it is, and with a lot of things, especially athletics, there's no shortcuts with it. So I think it was math.
Very nice. Coach Martin, the DuQuoin Indians start on the road at Highland on Friday, August the 30th. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
That's Al Martin, head coach of the DuQuoin Indians, and of course, what can you say? It's a reputation that speaks for itself. Of course, with their success, we need to take a break here on the Saturday Sports Show. We'll hurry up and come back with Tim Kuna, the Nashville Hornets. It's all brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Complete. That's the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois with a full sports medicine clinic, state-of-the-art MRI, a spine care team that focuses on pain management, arthroscopy specialists offering total joint replacement, hand surgery, and complete rehabilitation services. Doctors Chow, Hool, Ahn, Kowalski, Freehill, and Smith stand ready to serve you today with offices in Mount Vernon and Centralia and satellite offices in Benton and Nashville. Find out more online at orthocenter-si.com.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. As many of you know, our new product was launched on 7/5/13. We named the product to reflect our core values of serving one community, one county with one product, and serving you one at a time. Community First Bank's One product delivers value by combining the highest yield in the market with access to your funds anytime and anywhere through internet banking, mobile banking, debit cards, and yes, even by writing checks. Call us at 244-3000 for details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
Oh, man. Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you with us, of course, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Proud to welcome back to the program, of course, Tim Kuna, the Nashville Hornets. Hornets finished 2-7 last year, but have a feeling, have a hunch. It's going to be much better than that here in 2013 when they open up on the road at Carlisle. We welcome Tim Kuna to the program. Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
I know last year, of course, your first season at the helm back in Nashville, your hometown, but a 2-7 mark. But from what I saw and from what I gathered, of course, talking to guys like Bo Meyer and then reading some of the box scores and things like that, it seemed like a Hornet team that, especially with a big win against rival Pinckneyville, a Hornet team that really improved, a young Hornet team that got better as the season went along.
Yeah, I think we've improved slightly as the year went along, and I think the guys finally started to believe what we were teaching. It's just been great to have an actual off season this year, to get stuff established.
Looking at your schedule last year, you had that tough stretch at the end with 3 road games, 5 or 4 home games to start with. A lot of nice turns in 2013, a little flop of the schedule. You're getting some more home games this season.
Yeah, it's going to be nice to be at home a little more. Actually, we got to go back to Carterville and back to DuQuoin, so I don't know how good it is.
Well, you got to go to at Carlisle and at Mater Dei. That nobody helped you on those road games, did they?
No, that's true.
Let's blame your radio guy, Bo Meyer, for that one. Just kidding. When you look at Nashville and your kids, talk about some of your kids and how many returning starters you have back in 2013.
We've got 8 returning starters on offense and 7 on defense, and got led by probably our senior defensive end and fullback Chase Hagney, followed by another senior Jeremy Gibson, and then we've got Austin Grabowski, another senior, and then we've got a ton of juniors that got a great experience last year. And we had 3 freshmen letter, so we're expecting big things from the younger guys this year.
A younger group that's had a lot of ink, I guess you could say, as they've come to the junior high into the high school. Now, 4 of your first 6 games on the road. DuQuoin has 5 out of their first 7 on the road. Anything you do as a coaching staff to get your kids mentally prepared, maybe mentally tougher to deal with being on the road so much early?
I think we just prepare we treat every opponent the same. We respect everyone, we fear none. And then we just approach it, but week to week. We don't look at, home, away. We're just going to go play a game, do things our way.
Is there anybody on this? I know it's so tough. You got Carterville, DuQuoin, an improved Pinckneyville team. AJ's been a stalwart for the years. Anybody in particular you're looking at as seeing as being a favorite this year in the Mississippi division?
You've got DuQuoin, AJ, Carterville. You've got Sparta with Coach Beavis doing what he's doing. It's just a great conference. I mean, there's no weak link, I don't think. and every Friday it's going to be a battle.
Of course, taking a look at the schedule, it's a nice regional flavor for the Nashville Hornets, along with that river-to-river Mississippi Conference slate. I know just in your second year, but in talks with, of course, your athletic director, Neil Hammond, have you guys had any talks about maybe the schedule being tough to fill? But it really seems like with Carlisle Week 1 and Columbia Week 9 and, of course, Mater Dei Week 2, it seems like that schedule's been constant for quite a few years. But are there any talks with the schedule maybe being difficult to fill in the future?
Down the road, I think things are going to be a little more difficult. And there's been talk of maybe a cross-conference, non-conference schedule, but that's still just in discussions.
Final question for you. We know we got football practice going on and busy and everything else. Our final question this week is our social media sports question of the week, and this week's question is, what was your favorite subject in school?
Favorite subject in school?
Oh, yeah.
I have to say history because that was Coach Reeder's class.
Oh,
nice.
Is that right? And how much did you learn in there from Coach Reeder back in the day?
I learned a ton, man. That guy's like a father to me.
Very nice. Coach Kuhn, Nashville Hornets at Carlisle, Friday, August the 30th against the Indians. Good luck to the Hornets in 2013.
Thank you very much, guys.
That's Tim Kuhn, of course, of the Nashville Hornets, and very glad to have had him on the broadcast for our River to River Conference preview. This is week 2 of our 3-week football previews. Of course, the season rolling out a little bit later due to the roll of the calendar this year. But again, the Nashville at Carlisle, August the 30th. That game will be on our sister station, V1047 and V1047.com. The V, I believe. 7 o'clock kickoff, just like everywhere else. There's one game, I can't remember where it is. It's starting at like 7:30.
That is the AJ. Hold on, that's AJ Frankfurt, I believe. Let me go look up here. AJ Frankfurt will start at 7:30.
Looks like Pinckneyville Redbud's also 7:30.
Pinckneyville Redbud's at 7:30, but I have also been told that Pinckneyville Redbud is at 7 o'clock. But
I'm just looking at the IHSA website. You know how that goes.
Well, I know. I've tried to hunt that down. According to my River to River people, it's all 7 o'clock, but who knows?
I will gladly trust your River to River folk over the website in which I am on right now. But anyhow, all of that said, it's a football preview here on the Saturday Sports Show. Plenty of guests coming up from the River to River Conference, both the Ohio divisions and the Mississippi. You've already heard a couple from the Mississippi division of the River to River, the DuQuoin Indians, and, of course, the Nashville Hornets. We'll still talk some AJ football coming up a little bit later on. We'll also talk with one of our new WMIX sports correspondents later in the 9 o'clock hour. Should be a good weekend of football previews. Don't forget our social media question of the week. We encourage you to participate in the discussion on Facebook, as well as the Twitterverse as well. Facebook.com/WMIX Sports, as well as at WMIX Sports on Twitter. What was your favorite subject in school? And, of course, we'll get to our answers at some point in the 9 o'clock hour. But just a quick reminder that the Mount Vernon Rams will have a kickoff lunch fundraiser. The football team, of course. It'll be a Smoke and Teas barbecue sandwich, chips, and water. The cost is just $7. It's coming up on Friday, the 23rd. It's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the parking lot of the First United Methodist Church. Of course, just off Main Street there, 12th and Main in Mount Vernon. So that'll be on Friday. Should be a pretty neat little fundraiser for them. Smoke and Teas barbecue should be delicious. Of course, a very affordable cost as well. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Jason Carnes, friend of the program, also the head coach of the Heron Tigers here on the Saturday Sports Show. It's brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
King City Chrysler's special tent event is running for a very limited time right now. That's right, the tents are up and the prices are going down at King City Chrysler. Try 0% financing on several models and rebates never heard of before. Their selection of cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs is the best around. Hurry into their tent event running for a limited time to find the vehicle you're looking for at a price you can afford. Come see the associates at King City Chrysler Center, 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon, and be sure to browse their inventory online at KingCityChrysler.com. And don't forget about Chrysler's Express Lane fast oil changes and more next time you need fast service. No appointment necessary. Just drive up and Express Lane Advisors will get your vehicle right in. It's all in one convenient location at 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
Hey, welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski in studio for you, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, of course, the head coach of the Heron Tigers. He is Jason Carnes. Coach, good morning.
Morning, guys. How we doing?
Doing pretty good. I have to imagine you're doing pretty well. Practice finally getting underway, of course, with the first week of IHSA football season. And, of course, the Tigers last year sneak into the playoffs and then have to go up against conference foe Harrisburg there in Week 10. Of course, bowing out at that point. But in terms of the way the season started, he got the opening win against Massac, one of two against the Patriots, no less. A tough road game on a Thursday night against Carbondale, then DuQuoin, and then Benton. But you guys rallied back the latter part of the season and really had much improvement over that latter part to get into the postseason.
Yeah, we had our backs to the wall after first 4 weeks of being 1-3, and we just stressed the fundamentals and just started doing more and more fundamentals the first latter part of the practice, and just the kids came together and the seniors kind of stepped up and we rallied and got so much better as the season went on, and it was exciting for those kids to get in the playoffs with hardly any experience, varsity experience, but we're excited about this year. We got to kind of kids back with varsity experience, so far so good for us in camp.
Well, a lot of pundits are picking Heron to win that Ohio division this year. Is it a fact of carrying that bullseye on? How do you do that to keep your kids in check and focused as the season gets ready to roll?
I think myself and the staff over the last 8 years have done a great job. Usually, exception to probably last year, the first 6 years we were picked at the top or first place or second place to finish, and it's something that we don't mind that at all, to be able to have people come after us. That's what we kind of tell the kids. Our program's been, built, and now it's keeping maintaining the program at a high level, and don't let it drop and keep up at a high level. And, we just preach the basic things and just the character and, doing things the right way and, knowing that each week someone's coming after you and you got to be prepared and ready to go.
And as you're hearing the noise in the background from practice, you open up 3 of your first 4 games on the road, the usuals of Carbondale, DuQuoin, Benton. But the first one is Waterloo, a new addition to the schedule, which I think is a good get for Heron, a 4A school just like yourself. How did that come about?
Last year when we played Massac twice, we looked in the state, of course, and all we could find is somewhere in Chicago or over Indianapolis, and we just got together and ended up playing each other, and they ended up getting a hold of Freeburg, and Freeburg and Waterloo used to play for a long period of time, week 1, and Freeburg picked up Massac, so I got on the horn and figured Waterloo was open right after they stopped playing this year, so called Waterloo up, and Coach Rose was. We tried a few years ago to possibly get to in week 9 Waterloo. I wanted Waterloo or Columbia, those type of schools on the schedule that 4A Metro East, because there's really not too many 4A schools in Southern Illinois around our enrollment. So trying to find other schools that are very comparable to us. So that's what we did. It worked out, and we go on the road August 30th up there. So it'll be a great game. They got a new facility with turf, and he always has his kids ready to play and tough-nosed kids.
Speaking of kids, we'll talk about your team. How many returning starters on both sides of football do you have back in 2013?
I think 7 on both sides.
Man, you're loaded, aren't you?
I wouldn't go that far, but we're still going to be. We got experience back and starters back, but you're going to look in the program and see juniors and some sophomores still. You're going to see a lot of juniors out there playing. So we're going to be experienced, but we're also still going to be very young.
Veteran, you have played through this. You've played through 3-a-days, 2-a-days, college level and high school level. You've coached through it. Now it's a situation schools are starting earlier and earlier. You're also seeing this new acclimation policy of football practicing going on. As a veteran player / veteran coach, how's it been different this fall already, having to coach and do different things a different way this year?
Well, I was saying this yesterday. Maybe I should stay out to see how the weather is, and should have let us, should have changed it this year with the way the weather's been. It's been great so far. So I don't know. I mean, this depends on, when I grew up at DuQuoin, you didn't start till after, Labor Day, after the fair. You had 2 days for a good almost 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks, and now you get 2 days for maybe 3 or 4 days. But it really hasn't been a big difference. I mean, we don't really go, too long. I'm a 2-hour practice guy at the limit anyway, so the 3-hour practice and the helmets and all that new stuff doesn't affect us. I feel like 2 hours is a limit. You get more than 2 hours with the high school kids, you're going to lose their attention span in any sport. So 1 hour and 45, 2-hour, practice type here, in and out, quick, always moving. So it hasn't been bad. It's been really good, and it's been enjoyable so far.
I think you and Coach Mings at Johnston City have kind of been on the forefront of what happened this year. Is he always talks about getting that. Al Martin, I know you played for him. He's a guy that gets things done quickly. In this day and age, you mentioned getting it in, getting it work done, getting out. In this day and age, with the internet, with smartphones, with everything going on, how important is that to keep kids that quick and out, to keep them focused on the task at hand?
I couldn't hear you. Go ahead.
I was talking about you and Coach Mings have the ability of shortening your practices, or at least not having these long, drawn-out practices. In this day and age, with everything that's going on with smartphones and things that go on with quick read feedback, how important is that to keep your kids focused in that time to get your work done?
I just think back when we played and all of us growing up, you stayed out there longer and this and that, and there wasn't so much other distractions in the world today. Now there's so many things going on, and you get a kid out here and just keep moving. I mean, we got them sprinting everywhere, to the water, everywhere else, moving, conditioning, and doing things like that, and just basic fundamentals. Not anything crazy, not anything over their heads, and just keep it simple, very simple form, and just get them fundamentally sound. That's how how I was brought up, and that's how what I learned. So it just it's like I said, guys, if you keep them out there on a basketball court for more than 2 hours, you got kids that just wonder what's going to happen tonight, where they're going to go, what they're going to eat tonight, whatever. So 2 hours in and out, and maybe watch a little film, hit the weight room. We got a new weight room out here at the facility, so things like that. But actual football practice, 2 hours is the limit, and that's it.
There you go. Coach, our final question, the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. This week is, what was your favorite subject in school?
Favorite subject in school? I'd probably say physical education.
Nice.
Yes. Nothing wrong with that.
Had a feeling. Outstanding. Coach, we wish the Tigers the best of luck getting a Week 1 opponent this year that's not a conference foe. Of course, Waterloo. Good luck on the road on August 30th.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure. That is Jason Carnes. Of course, nickname for him sometimes is Brady Hoke?
Yes. It was Rich Rod for the years down south, but with the change, it's now Brady.
Just a good dude. Of course, ran into him quite a few times at the various regionals that Heron was able to hold in their brand beautiful new complex down there as far as the spring sports are concerned, and made some improvements with that sales tax base, of course, to all of their athletic facilities. And I'd love to be able to see that sometime. But anyhow, on the Saturday Sports Show, we must roll on. We'll talk with Jason Roper, the Harrisburg Bulldogs. After a quick break, we'll talk about their semifinal run and the pain that they endured, that so many did, the Rochester Rockets, last year. This is Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Matthew Heller with a look at your next rad weather. Times of clouds and sun today with a shower or thunderstorm in a few spots and a high of 80. Then partly cloudy tonight, low 58, and times of clouds and sun tomorrow with a thunderstorm and a high of 84. Looking ahead at Monday, we'll have partly sunny skies. It will be warm and humid with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm and a high of 87. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
It's back. RLC Golf Outlet Super Demo Day on Saturday, August 31st. Major manufacturers will answer any questions about your favorite equipment, plus free balls and fittings. You can test the best golf equipment in the industry and enjoy free hot dogs and soft drinks. Plus, RLC has outrageous sales all day on the most popular names in clubs, balls, bags, and swag at Super Demo Day, Saturday, August 31st from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. at the Red Lake College Golf Outlet off of Potomac Boulevard in Mount Vernon. Cherry Creek Driving Range is now open every day.
Mr. Worldwide, T-Pain, el que no oye consejo, no llega viejo. So, listen up.
Welcome back to Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski alongside. It is our River to River preview weekend here. Glad to have you with us. Of course, we just talked Heron Tigers football with Coach Jason Carnes. And when you think about Tiger football, of course, we'll talk Harrisburg Bulldog football hopefully here in just a second with Jason Roper, of course, a team that went to the semifinals last year. But a couple final thoughts on Heron. Last year, started off 1-3. We got to see them against Carbondale on a Thursday night where they had the foresight to move the games up a day. And Heron Tiger team snuck into the playoffs but had to battle our next guest, the Harrisburg Bulldogs, in Week 10.
Oh, it was, and Heron had a good roll and got back in with those big wins at the end of the year. And now a Harrisburg team that lost a ton of skill players last year made it that 4A semi, lost at Rochester, a place we'll go here in less than 2 weeks. Rochester won 3 in a row, and Harrisburg had such a great team, and you couldn't do anything with that quality of team last year at Rochester.
Well, Garrett Dooley, who went on to Wisconsin, and unfortunately, Garrett already injured up there in a preseason practice, so wish the best of luck to them. But our next guest is Jason Roper, of course, of the Harrisburg Bulldogs. Coach Roper, good morning.
Good morning.
Of course, the Bulldogs last year were just talking about their semifinal run, and unfortunately had to meet the Rochester Rockets on the road, a team that Danny and I got to see in Week 1 of the regular season last year. But all in all, I know the expectations were lofty for the Bulldogs in all sports last year, but that was a heck of a season in 2012.
Yeah, it was a good one. We had a great group of seniors, and obviously, they did well in all sports, and we'll miss those kids, but we've got some kids we feel like are filling in pretty nicely into the roles that were vacated. So, we're hoping to have another successful season.
There's so much hoopla with that group that just graduated in May because they had so much success in all sports at Harrisburg. For the group and the groups that are following now that are seniors and juniors and sophomores, is that kind of an incentive to this group to say, hey, guys, we can go out and play football and show off what we can do as a group?
Yeah, I think so. The old saying that, success breeds success. I think, it kind of puts an expectation on the kids that, they got to perform at a high level. And I think you see that a lot in different programs, throughout the state. So, our kids understand the expectation and are going to go out and, try to live up to those expectations.
A stable schedule for Harrisburg over the last few years, a couple of South 7 schools and the traditional Mount Carmel, DuQuoin opening up. Is it, everybody would look at that schedule and go, wow, that's an amazing, tough schedule. Do your kids have that mindset of it's going to be there every week, every season, so there's no use getting excited about or getting worried about it? That's who we're going to play?
Yeah, I think so. We play all those teams at the lower class level, so, they know what the schedule is going to be going in. Sometimes, I kind of talk about it maybe more than they do, that or how tough our schedule is or maybe how physical it is or so forth. But, our kids, they want to compete every week and they want to play in games they get nervous in. And we'll open up at Mount Carmel at the Snake Pit Week 1, and it'll be a challenge for our kids. They're going to be really, really good. They got their quarterback back, who's an outstanding player. And it'll be a challenge right from the get-go.
Looking at your schedule and a younger group returning, of course, lost a lot of skill players last year. 3 of your first 4 at home, and then 4 of your first 5 on the road. Have you talked with your kids about you got to make some hay early with the number of home games you have in the first 4 weeks?
We really haven't. We as coaches we looked at. I don't think we've discussed it with the kids really. We as far as the kids go, we kind of go week to week, and we just take them one at a time and. Our kids will see it, it's out there that what our schedule looks like, and it's one of those situations where over the, I guess maybe because our schedule is what it is, that home and away really doesn't affect us that much. It's more about, just execution and staying healthy as the season goes along. I think are the 2 biggest things.
How many kids are returning on both sides of football for you in 2013?
We don't have a lot. We maybe have 2 or 3 on defense and 1 offensive lineman and a couple of backup running backs. So, but the nice thing is, we did have a team that it was really, really physical last year, who are juniors at the time, and some sophomores got to play against in practice every day. They got to practice and play in 13 games last year. So, so to say they don't have experience, I think that experience maybe comes from playing on Friday night. But they play physical during the week, and we're in some games at halftime and shortly after halftime, so that they do have some experience, just maybe not experience as coming back as a returning starter.
Anybody or any team in particular in the Ohio division that you'd peg as a favorite as we sit here on this Saturday in August?
If you're talking about returners, I would think that Heron has, quite a few kids coming back, and even kids that were sophomores played for them last year that are just now juniors. I think they have a lot of kids coming back on both sides of the ball, and of course, they have speed and athleticism. So, they look to be probably the favorite in my opinion. Massac County has a new coach, and we're not sure what they're going to do and what they'll look like. So, I think our conference is kind of wide open, maybe Heron being the favorite.
Are you going to have any of that Pittsburgh Steelers influence on the team again this year?
I don't know. It seems to always, we're always talking about it, and run the ball and that type of thing, play good defense, and it always comes back to kind of talking about the Steelers. But hopefully we'll be able to do that.
Hey, that's okay. I knew I was going to have to ask that with that guy down there on your staff that thinks the black and gold are great and everything they do.
Yeah. He I think, since his kids are graduated and they moved on to college ball, I think he's, spending most of his time traveling around watching them play and enjoying that. And he and his wife are really enjoying that. So, I don't look for him to be too active this fall.
Hey, our final question for you, and you've been on the show enough. We have our social media question of the week, and this week's question is, what was your favorite subject in school?
Favorite subject in school was athletics class.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Jason Carnes just said the same thing. He was the same boat.
Right? Yeah. I would say for most coaches it is, so that's it.
Well, we all can't be math guys,
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. On the road to start week 1 at Mount Carmel against the Golden Aces. Coach, good luck to the Bulldogs this year.
Hey, thank you very much.
That's Jason Roper, head coach of the Harrisburg Bulldogs, 11-2 last year. Again, a semifinal run that ended on the road against the Rochester Rockets, who are defending three-time defending Class 4A state champions. And your Mount Vernon Rams will travel to Rochester week 1. It'll be a 6:30, 6:40 pregame on AM 940 with video online at WMIXsports.com. Can't wait to bring that to you. Presented by Community First Bank of the Heartland. Of course, where are we? We need Brian Beery, of course, of the West Frankfort Redbirds. We'll slip in a quick break in between. It's all brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Dependable cars, trucks, SUVs, and vans. Family owned for the past 33 years, Second Chance Auto is the cure for summer new car fever. No one has a better selection of nice vehicles priced under $10,000. Almost all their vehicles come with a generous 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty. There are no dock fees, no shipping fees, no processing fees, and absolutely no gimmicks. Just honest deals at low prices. Second Chance Auto, Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. Call 244-4582. Second Chance Auto.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpal Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
And we're back with you here on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXsports.com. It's all powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
You bet it is. Chris Hugo and Danny Zerwinski in the studios of AM 940 for you. Of course, glad to be with you for our River to River conference preview, of course. We'll have the South 7 and myriad other guests next week as we wrap it up before the start of the regular season on Friday, August the 30th for most teams here in Southern Illinois. We welcome to the program the head coach of the West Frankfort Redbirds, Brian Beery. Coach, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on your show.
Well, we're glad to have you. And, of course, you go from Johnston City to West Frankfort a couple of years ago, knowing that it's going to be a rebuilding process. 1-8 in your first season. You get 2-7 last year. But you could see signs of improvement in the Redbirds from having seen them against Benton, of course, on that Saturday afternoon game that's become famous. Things seem to be progressing nicely with your system going into place there in Frankfort.
Yeah, we're coming along. We're developing. Last year was... We showed improvement, but we started off the year kind of slow. We were fumbling, turning the ball over too much, and we weren't playing very disciplined early on. But that's something that we're really trying to focus on this year. Keep progressing, but let's play a little bit more discipline, and let's make sure we take care of the football.
Discipline is something in the Ohio division that you need, but your non-conference schedule very tough as well. AJ, Pinckneyville, Nashville, and Carterville, a nice blend from the river-to-river Mississippi division. Is Frankfort looking to continue that trend of playing crossover games as the future goes on?
Yeah, right now there's no plan to change our current schedule.
Speaking of the Redbirds, talk about how many kids you return back on both sides of the football.
Well, we returned back a lot of linemen. We lost most of our backfield, so that's going to be kind of our inexperienced group. But we're bringing back about 6 guys on offense and 5 guys on defense.
Good returning set of group, and you've been around coaching a long time, and this year, of course, with the changes with the heat and acclimation policy, how has that been different for you and your staff to get the work in that you need with your kids?
Well, it's been a little bit of a challenge, but it's also kind of been funny because the weather has been so mild this summer. We really didn't need it at all this year. But anyways, it's a new rule. We're abiding by it. And as long as everybody else is abiding by it, it shouldn't set us back.
I want to look at this, too. And when you talk about the Ohio division, every week is such a grind. Is there a favorite that you look at and see as a team that might be the favorite heading into 2013 to win that conference?
Well, I always look at Heron being one of the bigger schools. I think they kind of got a leg up with numbers, with more kids to choose from in their high school. But Harrisburg's got a great tradition, and I tell you, the conference is such a tough conference. It's hard to say for sure who's going to probably be the top dog in it. But I'd always say that those two are probably, based on tradition and based on size, probably have a leg up on the rest. West Frankfort being the small school in our side of the conference, I look at us as being an underdog in every game, and that's all right with us. We don't mind being the underdog. It just gives us more to fight for.
Speaking of fight for, in Week 5, you have a special game on a Saturday afternoon with the Benton Rangers coming in from Johnston City to West Frankfort. Being around the West Frankfort town, the kids, how important is that game to the kids in the town in Frankfort when you play Benton?
Oh, it's a huge game for us. It's been a long-time tradition, and it's a game on our schedule that we don't have to worry about trying to get our team pumped up for, because the community is doing that for us and making sure that our players understand the importance of that game.
Importance of your game. You start out the season 3 of your first 5 at home, and then finish 3 out of 4 on the road. It seems in Ohio Division, a lot of teams are going on the road early and often. For your team, you get a couple home games out of the gate. Are you going to stress you need to make some hay early with those home games right out of the gate?
Well, I always think that the Week 1 is a very, very important game. We always take that game very seriously. We prepare for it. But, yeah, a quick start is very important to us. Not downgrading our non-conference play, but our conference play is so tough that if we don't have some success early, we're going to probably struggle. Typically here at West Frankfort, since I've been here, we've lacked numbers, so we usually start off the year playing pretty good, and then as the season goes on, that kind of hurts us not having numbers. Our numbers are on the rise. We're still probably a year or two away from having good depth, what I consider to be good depth, but we have seen noticeably better numbers this year, so I'm hoping that our depth doesn't really come into play later on in the season.
When you talk about West Frankfort, a lot of good athletics over the years and all kinds of sports on both sides. Is that starting to build back up down there with the changes in the coaches and the sports as well, as starting to turn that corner again to have what they've had in the past?
I believe so, and I believe something that's really helped us is we implemented a weightlifting program as part of our curriculum the year I came here 2 years ago, and I think if you look at, I don't care what sport you're looking at, but basketball, our kids are physically bigger now. We won 10 basketball games last year, and if you ask our athletic director for say, he's going to tell you a lot of it had to do with the fact that we are physically stronger. We could run faster, jump higher as a result of it, and we're not outclassed athletically anymore.
I've got to ask you about one of the things is I've got you kind of as a dark horse this year that's going to sneak up on some people. But finally, our final question, you mentioned curriculum. Our final sports question of the week is our social media question. It is, what was your favorite subject in school?
It would have to have been weightlifting, but I honestly excelled real well at math, so I enjoyed math and computer-type classes.
Well, so far, some of your coaching brethren, Jason Roper and Jason Carnes, mentioned weightlifting/PE. Al Martin had math, so it seems those are kind of the popular choices so far this morning for our question.
Yeah, I believe, athletics have to be important to you to go into coaching, and honestly, to be a good coach, I think you have to be very organized, and math is that way too. You have to be organized to be good at math.
Excellent. Coach, good luck to the West Frankfort Redbirds against Anna Jonesboro, of course, in Week 1. I believe a 7:30 start, but we look forward to doing this again this season.
All right. Thanks again for having me on your show.
Always a pleasure. That's Brian Beery, West Frankfort Redbirds. It's hard for me not to call them Frankfort, just because that's generally a commonly accepted name, Frankfort Community High School, but I know that confuses some, given the Chicagoland schools.
Right.
But be that as it may, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit, recap that first hour, and then lead you into hour number 2 here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. It's been said that in order to grow, you have to change. Very rarely anymore do insurance companies ask the phrase to go out and get 3 estimates. The new phrase insurance companies are asking is, would you like to take your vehicle to one of our direct repair facilities? This is a way for your insurance company and collision repair center to help relieve the stress you may have from your unfortunate incident. And, as Landers Collision Centers has adapted to this forever-changing industry, we are extremely happy to announce that we are a direct repair facility for over 10 different insurance companies. It's likely that one of them is yours. From dealing with your insurance company, setting you up with a rental vehicle, lifetime warranty on repairs, and of course, Landers free lifetime detailing for qualified customers, Landers Collision Centers literally takes the stress from your incident and turns it back into a shiny new ride for you to enjoy again. Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
State Farm, this is Jessica.
Hey, Jessica, Jerry Newman. Does State Farm offer more discounts to more drivers?
Yep, like the good driver discount.
So it's for good, but not great drivers.
No, Jerry. There's also the multi-line discount.
For calling from multiple lines while driving.
You should never use a phone while driving.
I only make calls from my car when I'm stuck in a ditch or something.
Are you in a ditch?
Yes, I am.
State Farm offers more discounts to more drivers than any other insurance company. Get to a better state.
One more reason to call State Farm agent Tony Wilton Mount Vernon at 242-1421.
And welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. It's brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That it is. And, of course, we got done just now with Brian Beery of the Frankfort Redbirds. Of course, prior to that, we talked Harrisburg Bulldogs, Heron Tigers, Nashville Hornets, DuQuoin Indians. Still in the 9 o'clock hour, we'll talk AJ football, as well as with the Benton Rangers, and we'll even talk with our new WMIX sports correspondent. Before we get to that, we might as well just slip in our answers for the WMIX Sports social media question of the week, and that is, what was your favorite subject in school?
History.
Yes, that does not surprise me. Weren't you a history major?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good subject.
Yeah.
This is a tougher one for me, and as they all are, just because I had so many classes that I enjoyed, so many teachers that I had some very rare classes. I had one class created for me. I got to build a website for one of the administrators at MVTHS. I enjoyed that experience. I enjoyed my publications courses, of course, as well, which somehow I ended up here and not in print or anything like that. But probably the class looking back, the AP classes were all nice. Of course, Mrs. Black, Mr. Bean. I was talking about, of course, Mr. Knutson and Mr. Van Zandt earlier. But freshman honors English, probably looking back, is the one that formulated me the most because Ted Quinn, of course, taught that. Now retired out in Arizona, I believe. But taught that it was okay to like sports and be smart. And so that was just a great course, and I enjoyed that immensely, and it was nice to be able to see that and experience that. So I feel that as far as speaking and literature and language and things like that probably did the most for me at MVTHS 201. So freshman honors English for me. I'm looking at Avery Barton. I don't know that he had real classes at his tenure in high school. I think he was always working for the man, so to speak. But
yeah.
If he wants to chime in, we'll let him. If he doesn't want to chime in, we're not going to make him chime in. But if he's going to chime in, he's going to have to come over here because I'm not moving the microphone. That's just part of it. Come here, Mortimer. Let's see. What was your favorite course in high school or subject matter? It could be grade school, too.
I like you, had a lot of classes made for me. And
you have to go to class first. But.
Well, I mean...
That's my weakness.
Seem to never do any homework. But I really enjoyed civics and world geography with Gudisky. Yeah, good times.
I'd say I actually enjoyed my civics class too. I learned all about Duquoin Indians football from Aaron Hill, so that was actually quite nice. That's actually how I knew so much about it early on. I knew more about Indians football and Rangers football at that time. I think I did. Than the Mountford and Rams, and luckily Coach Pankos came back along. But anyhow, all of that aside, here on the Saturday Sports Show, 9 o'clock hour, we're going to talk with Brett Dietering, of course, about the Anna Jonesboro Wildcats, just success year in and year out. What a program they have down there in Union County, and just great things always happening with that Wildcats football program and just Wildcat athletics in general. Of course, Jeremy Clodfelder still to come. We'll talk Benton Rangers football, and we will also talk with our new WMIX sports correspondent in the 9 o'clock hour. But we hope that you will participate in the discussion on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. What is your favorite subject? Those were ours. Let's see yours. Don't forget a fundraiser for Mountford and Rams football going on Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., of course. It is a kickoff lunch fundraiser, smoke and teas, barbecue sandwich, chips and water. The cost is $7. That is from 11 to 1 at the First United Methodist Church. Of course, that's on the corner of 12th and Main in the parking lot downtown. That looks to be a pretty good lunch, and that's a heck of a deal for some great barbecue to benefit Mountford and Rams football, who open up their season on Friday, August the 30th, just like everybody else. We'll have your pregame right here on WMIX and video online at WMIXsports.com. We're still kind of arranging the start time to our pregame show, of course, talking about integrating some new facets and new features to our broadcast this year. So stay tuned for that. We'll have the schedule online at WMIXsports.com before you know it. It's already there partially. We're just talking about our pregame time in terms of that because that could fluctuate as we get closer to the football season. So, that said, we're still a few minutes away from a break before we go to AJ Coach Brett Dietering. But recapping the 8 o'clock hour, of course, with Al Martin, Tim Kuhn, Jason Carnes, Jason Roper, and Brian Beery. You hear a lot of talk as we visited with half of the Ohio division and 2 of the 6 from the Mississippi side, but Heron keeps coming up, pundits, coaches alike, as a favorite on the Ohio side, and with some of that youth last year being another year older, no reason to think the Heron Tigers going to be a favorite.
Heron's got to be the favorite. They've returned a ton this year, and being one of the bigger schools on that side, excuse me, they won't be the biggest school enrollment-wise in a few years, but Jason Carnes has things rolling down there, and that's the team to look at.
Well, you have that. You have Harrisburg coming off of a semifinal run in Class 4A, but you lose so many skill players last year, quarterback especially, and you take a look around at what Harrisburg loses, and typically they would be, along with Heron, right up there as one of your favorites in the conference in that division. The Benton Rangers have had some nice runs to the postseason the past few years. I don't know skill-wise. I think they lost a lot as well. We'll talk with Coach Clodfelder later on. But taking a look at the rest of Ohio quickly, and we'll talk about this more in depth in the 9 o'clock hour as well. You have a new coach at the helm of Massac County, of course. Coach Glass leaves for another opportunity. They were 0-9 last year, lost to Heron twice, of course. Looks like they have gotten their schedule straightened out a little bit. Yeah. Murphy, of course, 3-6 last year under Gary Carter. Expect them to improve this year, and we expect the Frankfort Redbirds with Brian Beery to improve as well. 1-8 his first year, 2-7 last year.
Well, the thing I see about the Ohio division so far is a lot of teams have to hit the road early and often, And, DuQuoin, 5 of 7 on the road, and then somebody else has 4 out of the first 6 on the road. When you're up against a wall like that with a younger team, it's very tough to get them and keep focused. If you can win a half of those or come out with a, one loss out of that, you got to feel pretty lucky because, there's only been, since 96, I throw this out, 6, 7, 8, let's see, how many 0-2 teams? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams since 1996, and the BDC, South 7, River to River have started 0-2 and been able to make it.
Sure.
If you split, you get a little bit higher percentage, but other than that, you lose a couple of those first 2, you don't get in. Now, last year was rare because there were 1, 2, 3 teams that started 0-2 and made the playoffs. The Red Devils at Cesarville, Waltonville, Woodlawn, DuQuoin, and Carterville all started 0-2 and got in. It's a rare year. Mount Vernon's turned the trick twice. Only team in South 7 to do it. Again, it's so important to get off to a good start because if you don't split or win those first 2, if you go 0-2, that means you've got to win 5 of 7 or 6 or 7, depending on your playoff points.
Right.
It's hard to do.
I remember those 2 0-2 seasons well, back-to-back 07-08. Of course, you had Belleville East week 1. One year it was Withrow University in Cincinnati. The following year it was O'Fallon at home. And it's a tough trick to turn. But nonetheless, of course, you have a lot of talent coming up through the Ohio and the Mississippi side as well. We'll go back to the Mississippi with AJ football here in just a moment. We'll have many more stats like that throughout the season as we get into football. And, of course, we have since 96 how Mount Vernon has fared. And really, some success against Mascoutah back when that was a battle and then had to switch to Simeon back in 02. And since then, the Rams have really only won two opening week football games, and that was 05-06.
Right. It's been a
week
streak.
1, not kind.
7 in a row.
Of course,
6 in a row.
Half the battle's just having a game.
Right.
That's not easy.
And that's part of the battle of having games in any part of the weeks anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to have your non-conference slate for you. You talk about these South 7 teams, and we will talk more about that next week when we talk to South 7, but it just becomes so tough because they're kind of like on an island all their own down here. As far as 5, 6A, of course, Centralia was 4A last year, if I recall correctly. But you're talking about that and looking at that, and it's become tougher for these teams to find regular season games. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Brett Dietering, of course, of the AJ Wildcats here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back up to this.
Heller with a look at your next rad weather. Times of clouds and sun today with a shower or thunderstorm in a few spots and a high of 80. Then partly cloudy tonight, low 58, and times of clouds and sun tomorrow with a thunderstorm and a high of 84. Looking ahead at Monday, we'll have partly sunny skies. It will be warm and humid with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm and a high of 87. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers broadcasting station.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski on WMIX and WMIXSports.com, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
There you go. Back to the Mississippi side now as we talk AJ Wildcat football with head coach Brett Dietering. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Yeah, great morning indeed. Finally getting to talk some River to River football. And, of course, the AJ Wildcats, ho-hum, made the playoffs again last year with a 6-4 mark. They finished a tough Week 10 game on the road at Greenville, who I think eventually went on to the semifinals. But all in all, just another successful season in your program, a program that has really been rolling over these past, 10, 15 years? Seems like a long time anyway.
I think we made the playoffs 13 straight years, and, there's some years that we had more talent than others. Last year, we knew that the kids we had were going to give us everything we got, but we knew that we had had some issues we had to overcome as far as lack of numbers and some skill positions, and just some overall depth problems. And our kids finished at 6-4, and we played Greenville. We were even up at Greenville mid-second quarter. We were up 20-6, but it's one of those that the better team ultimately won. But our kids played very, very well and had a good showing, and ball bounced differently a couple plays, and you never know how that game may play out.
Heading into 2013, a new practice policy. You've been a guy that played in 2-a-days, 3-a-days, coached in 2-a-days, 3-a-days. How much of an adjustment has it been this year with the acclimation policy and your team getting together and coaching in this new practice schedule?
It's been a significant change. We're used to practicing 2.5 hours in the morning and 2.5 hours in the evening, and we've always gone at 7 a.m. and 5:30 at night to avoid the heat of the day. If we felt like we had excessive heat, we took extra water breaks. We'd go through a walkthrough period where we might pop the shoulder pads off, let the kids get some air to their underpad, to their shirts, that were probably soaked with sweat, and so now all of a sudden it helps as a cooling mechanism. If people are smart, I think you can manage it. I don't necessarily know that we needed this type of legislation, but it's just like anything else. There's a rule that's put in place because of 10% of people doing things the wrong way, and the 90% of people who are doing things the right way ultimately have to adjust because of it. As a school administrator, I have to do it all the time. I get it. It doesn't mean I have to like it, though.
Spoken like a true guy in a school setting, I can echo those sentiments. Looking at 2013, how many players return on both sides of the ball for your team?
We had a good mix last year. We have probably, I would say, 5 or 6 guys on each side of the ball who had significant playing time. 3 or 4 of those guys were probably starters on one side or the other, or were a starter on at least that side of the ball. And then we have other guys who started for 2 or 3 games while a guy was injured, or we had to make some adjustments, or maybe we played with a 5-man defensive line, or a 4-man defensive line, or a 3-man defensive line, more DPs. So we feel good about the experience of the kids that we have coming back. The challenge we have is just the overall number of the kids we have in our program right now.
Opening game at West Frankfort, is that listed? It's listed on the IHSA website at 7:30. Is that correct for the schedule time?
That is correct. We did. Richard Glodich and I got together probably 5 years ago, and both of our fields have some coverage with some trees, and so we decided, if you wait an extra half an hour, the sun gets behind those trees, and it seems like it's a lot cooler. And with it being week 1, we felt like it was important to do that. So we kind of we play that one at 7:30 just to try to beat the heat a little bit. Now, the IHSA didn't mandate we do that, but we went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah, good point, exactly. Kind of like if it's 110 outside, what the volleyball team going to do in a gym, which is a sauna with no air conditioning. Yeah, we hear you on that. You play at AJ a complete crossover schedule in non-conference. Is that something you guys are looking to continue in future years?
Yeah, we'll continue to do it. First of all, you're limited in the number of schools that you have in this area that you can play. With the Black Diamond being a full 10-team conference and with no open dates, unless you play someone in the Ohio division, you got to go catch someone out of the Cahokia, occasionally in Kentucky, or get into Missouri a little bit. We played Missouri teams for a few years, but you're always challenged with, they always redistrict and some things they have open, and it just doesn't work out. You can't really play them at the late part of your schedule, so you got to get them on the early part of their schedule. Then I think they start a week later than what we do, and so that's one less game you have. So there's really not a lot of choices unless you want to do significant travel, and so that's something that you could do. But like I said, we've played. The only thing we haven't played is in the last probably five or 6 years as a regular schedule game is Harrisburg, and that was really just because we tried to work out with Harrisburg, but we couldn't get the home and away worked out because we both needed home in the same year. Otherwise, we'd both go 6-3, 6 home games or 6 away games, and neither of us wanted to do that, so we just didn't get it to work out. So we've kind of played anybody on the other side, and we'll play Heron. We'll play Benton for a couple of years, and then now we're playing Heron for 2 years, and now we're going back and we're playing Benton again. So we've kind of just bounced around and played different teams over there.
For beginning of your schedule, you have 3 of your first 5 games at home, including likes of Murphy, Massac, and Carterville. How much will that help to get off to a good start? Because you've won, I don't know if you know this, you've won 8 years in a row. You won your first game every year. How much of a good thing is that going to help you with your team to get off to such a good start?
Well, when you're limited, and you have to. We've been low on playoff points for a couple of years, and so for us, 5 wins isn't a playoff for us. For us, it's 6 wins. And when you think that the likes of who you've got in your conference, when you're going to play Carterville and DuQuoin and some teams who have been strong, Nashville has good teams, has had some good teams. Pinckneyville won the conference 2 years ago, so you're going to face some good schools. It's important, that in that first non-conference, first 3 games that you need to come out of it at 2-1, 3-0, ideally if possible, but you don't want to get yourself behind the 8 ball early on before you get to your conference season.
Well, and a conference that's going to be tough, as always, on the Mississippi side. The A.J. Wildcats looking to make another run, and we certainly hope to see some success coming out of Union County this year. But we'll wrap it up with our WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week, and this week we want to know, what was your favorite subject in school?
Math.
Math, nice.
It ended up being the math. Well, that's how I got into coaching. I was a math teacher, taught geometry, taught trigonometry. Still enjoy math. In fact, I missed the classroom portion of it, but so yeah, it was definitely math.
That's advanced math, even. I mean, that's not geometry and trig. I mean, that's not easy stuff.
Well, the funny part was I didn't care for geometry when I was in high school. I didn't understand it very well, and I think sometimes that comes down to there's always strong teachers in a class in certain areas, and I think my stronger teachers probably were in algebra and algebra 2 type areas, and so I enjoyed those classes a little bit more. Geometry, maybe not as much, but then after I got out and taught geometry, then I really started to have a much greater appreciation for it and really enjoyed it, in fact. So I would try and pass that along to kids. And hey, I understand I didn't necessarily care for what I went through the first time, but as you start to think on a different level, it becomes a lot clearer to you.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Coach, best of luck to the Wildcats, and hopefully we can talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks.
And it's Brett Dietering, of course. We've told you time and time again, Nashville native, but coaches at Anna Jonesboro. And if you've ever wondered, and maybe you're new to the program, and you're wondering, hey, there's a guy that looks just like him at Salem, of course, well, that would be his twin brother. And so it's often fun, because I'll never forget the first time. I came back to Mount Vernon first year of doing the Rams broadcast and walking into Salem High School, and I'm like, that looks like Brett Dietering. Mm-hmm. Not knowing that his brother was up there, and I was like, what? So that's good times there. I always the thing about the twin that I always kind of wondered about was, the switcheroo, if they've ever tried that. And I've meant to ask that time, but time and time again, that's just not the place.
No,
right
there's
today.
Not Bella twin magic going on like in WWE. They don't trade off like that.
But both are great men, and certainly, Brad helps us out tremendously anytime we make a trek to Salem, and Brett, just a great football mind as well, and just 2 great guys, and glad to be able to have him on the program today. Jeremy Clodfelder of the Benton Rangers will come on a little bit later, but we took a brief look at the Ohio a moment ago, kind of told you our prohibitive favorite would be Heron, but you take a look at the Mississippi side, and I mean, it's always been one of those topics where you just kind of have your usual suspects. DuQuoin, typically a favorite just because they're DuQuoin. Well coached, obviously, Al Martin, who joined us to lead off the show back in the 8 o'clock hour, and we talked about his thoughts on the season. But you look at Coach Kuhn in his second year at Nashville, still trying to get his program and trying to get the guys to buy into the system. But you take a look, Pinckneyville has a new head coach this year, and you're taking a look at the Mississippi side. I just feel like this year maybe Carterville, obviously, many are expecting Carterville. I've seen a lot of pundits expecting them to make a deep run again with a lot of that talent returning, but easier said than done.
Those of you wondering, I know there's a lot of our listeners in Perry County, but we will get with Todd Thomas next Saturday. He's got practice this morning, adjusted some schedules. So, we point out that we're here to help, interview coaches. We want them on our show, but also understand their number one priority is get the coach and practice in. So he's going to be on with us next week, along with a couple other coaches that we've been trying to work around. But when you look at it, Carterville will begin with, they have a pretty good favorable schedule. They will finish 5 of 7 games at home this year with DuQuoin, Nashville, Sparta, and Frankfort. They got to go to Benton week 1. They got to go to Salem week 3. probably favorites there. AJ week 5. I mean, really, that's their toughest road game is Benton and AJ. I really like what Carterville has set up in front of them. Now, the way things worked out last year towards the end, they had a nice little setup of a run. They got to play Benton in the second round at home, got up there to Greenville. If their quarterback doesn't get hurt, they probably win that one. So with so much returning, it's hard not to pick Carterville. You look at AJ, who gets 3 of their first 5 at home to begin with. They have an 8-game week 1 winning streak, second longest to Fairfield. They've got an opportunity. I think with DuQuoin, the concern is 5 of 7 games on the road to start with Highland, Harrisburg, and Carterville all on the road. I mean, those are games in which DuQuoin, even though they got the interlocking DQ on the helmet, probably going to be underdogs in those 3 games. With Heron at home, a bigger school, and then Pinckneyville at home. Nashville with Coach Kuhn, they've got a tough start at Carlisle. They should probably be a favorite there. But at Mater Dei week 2, that's a tough start with Frankfort coming back home. I think 2 teams there. We'll get more in the Ohio division, but I like Frankfort. I think that's something building down there. Brian Beery's too good of a coach not to get things going. You look at Pinckneyville with a new coach in Todd Thomas. You know, they have Redbud at home. They should win that one. Frankfort on the road. They should win that one. Pinckneyville is kind of a team that I think will surprise most people. I think they've got a shot. If things go the right way, they could go 3-1, 4-0 to start based on their schedule, based on what's coming back. If everything works out with a new coach, new staff in place with their facility, they end up with 4 of their last 6 at home, which is very helpful, including AJ and Carterville. So that helps them a lot. And then you look at Sparta Steelville Co-op. Going to try that co-op deal out there with 2 teams from 2 different conferences. And Sparta Steelville's a team that could score a lot of points last year but gave them up pretty quickly. So we'll have to see how the Bulldogs come out. But again, when you look at the Mississippi division, it's Carterville and then probably AJ, with everybody else kind of fighting for the scraps at that point.
Sure, I like what you said about Pinckneyville under new head coach Todd Thomas, of course. And you look at their start, you mentioned Redbud, a team that struggled out of the Kokia last year and did not win a game, went 0-9 last year after some Musketeer success earlier in this millennium and this decade even. You look at the new co-op there, Sparta Steelville. Eventually they're going to get it again. And you know, right now, you kind of take a look at what they have, and they start off with a Dupo team that has struggled in recent years, but then a familiar foe in the Benton Rangers awaits for their home opener. So, I don't know, River, I think you're absolutely right. Now with Carterville, 8-4 last year, and of course we talked about that matchup, I believe, with the Greenville. We ended up like a shootout, 49-38, I think, at home. But they returned so much. And just a team, they start out with the Rangers last year of Benton, of course, and then had St. Joe Ogden, and I think Salem, the Wildcats.
Right.
So, I mean, they have a very, very eclectic schedule, but it's a schedule that works for them, and if the Lions can get a hot start early, no reason to think that the deep run isn't plausible.
Well, you look at Carterville's schedule, probably be a favorite in week 1 and 3, as I said, with Benton and Salem. St. Joe Ogden probably could get a win at home. DuQuoin coming in at home. You know, that it's a favorable setup. I mean, if Carterville can get anything going early with momentum with the players they have back with Dennis Trust, I think you got to look at Carterville. And again, folks, here's something that you got to think about is Carterville's days in 3A are numbered. As their enrollment keeps going up and up and up, it wouldn't shock me the next year or two they're going to be 4A in football and going to have to play 3A in volleyball and some other sports because they are just growing down there so much in that Route 13 corridor, especially the Carterville area with a new high school, new junior high, and new grade school that people are moving in for that reason. It's an easy place to live and go work in Marion and Carbondale. That place is growing so much, they're going to be one of the bigger schools in the river to river. In fact, in the next 4 or 5 years, they will be the biggest school in that conference. In fact, they are the second biggest school. Actually biggest school over Sparta, but if you count the co-op enrollment, they're not.
Right.
But biggest school in the Mississippi division already.
Well, and you take a look at Carterville, and the argument has become, well, they're about out of land. There's about not much room for them to expand. But the thing with that is is it so many of those families that have moved in recent years, whether they be employees of Southern or whether they be just working along the Route 13 corridor, most of them are younger families.
Mhm.
Those kids haven't made it to the high school yet. They're still in Tri-C and the intermediate and things like that. So you're still going to see a big boom once those levels get to the high school, because they're probably in about middle school right now.
Well, the rumor I have heard, and I still have to verify this, but I heard there's about 200-plus kindergartners this year at Carterville.
Not
So
surprising.
you start factoring in and figuring in, and that place growing, and it goes back to what I've said since I've gotten into conference. There's no reason, as close as they are, that they shouldn't be playing Heron and Murphy and Harrisburg.
Sure.
No reason they shouldn't be playing those three schools right there on Route 13.
Right.
They're in the mix. They're in the same enrollment ballpark. They're 5 minutes from Heron or less. And it's a game they haven't played in a long time, probably since 96 or later, somewhere in that ballpark. I mean, that's a game that's got to happen.
And I think what you're also going to find crossing over the Ohio momentarily, you mentioned Heron and Carterville, that should be a nice little rivalry they have.
50-50 pot would be unbelievable.
Yeah, maybe a Week 9 game or something like that eventually.
I would send money with somebody to get in on a 50-50 pot.
Well, and you think about that. And you think about Heron growing just as much as Carterville in terms of enrollment population.
New school.
Because you have more and more development. They're finding areas to develop still in the Heron High School district, and there's still plenty of room to be developed around there. As Carterville starts to fill up, there is a lot of growth along that Route 13 corridor, and I know the Star Bonds thing didn't quite work out yet. They haven't given up on that down there in Marion, but Marion, of course, going to be getting some remodeled facilities possible. I'm not sure what they're doing, of course, with the high school itself. But you look at the entire Route 13 corridor and the growth that's to come, and if Heron keeps growing, I mean, now a 750 range in terms of their enrollment, if that goes up any and continues to go up, you're going to be looking at a school that I cannot fathom while the rest of the Ohio would still want them to hang around.
I've said for years, whether it's here or down south, that some of these schools and conferences in football, not only down here, but you're looking at the Apollo, you're looking at the Valley, you're looking at the Cahokia, you're looking at the Illini Central, you're looking everywhere over here, anywhere south of 64, south of 70. Y'all going to have to get together. You're going to have to be proactive if things are changing. Enrollments are going. I mean, you look at the Mississippi side, enrollments are going down in DuQuoin, Pinckneyville, and Nashville, and AJ. They're starting to go down again. You got to start looking at mixing and matching, because, as I said when it started in college football, when you had all these conferences, teams changing, Nebraska, Rutgers, Maryland, Boise State, the Big East is now the Big 50 states or whatever, because that happened there. If some schools don't get what they want as far as football, because football drives everything here in Illinois right now, at least in this part of the state, you're going to see teams and schools meeting and setting up other conferences, and it's going to happen.
You have to be proactive.
And if you're not proactive, what you're going to do is you're going to get left out of a conference, and you're going to get left out of scheduling. If you sit back and watch, and you don't react or act quickly and be proactive, and you're going to be sit there stuck with nothing going on. And that's what's, as I said, it may not be going on now, but I think because college football did it, you're going to see high school do it. Because they got to find conferences and they've got to find games, and you got to mix and match. Yeah. But if they're going to lay back, that's what's going to happen.
And I would say, and we talked to Al Martin about his schedule, and the schools are going to be sitting pretty. Or are the schools like that? Maybe the like a DuQuoin, maybe the lower enrollment teams in the area don't want to play them. But I mean, look, they've played Highland for years. Your teams that are about that level, maybe your smaller 5As, your bigger 4As, and maybe don't quite have that success that you might consider them to be a dominant program, are going to take on the DuQuoins of the world, because that is, believe it or not, a level game.
Which Highland DuQuoin is starting to fade away. I mean, Highland's starting to, get a little bit better. Right. I mean, it's one thing. DuQuoin has had an extreme run of 30 years.
Right.
Unbelievable run. And they were a legit 3A school with 400 or 500 kids at one point. Now they're down to, they're getting mid-300s. So you're looking at DuQuoin playing Highland, who has 600 more kids enrollment-wise. That starts getting in a little different ballpark. DuQuoin's 2A, Highland's 5A. That's stretching a little bit. That's Mount Vernon playing DuQuoin. Mount Vernon's 6A. Centralia playing DuQuoin. Again, the balance. Highland's going to look for something else because, hey, if we start handling DuQuoin, what's that going to do to help us? DuQuoin is the all opposite of what I said about Mount Vernon and Marion and Carbondale Centralia. Too big can hurt you scheduling, or too good, as in DuQuoin, Heron, Massac. Massac's been down lately, but I'm saying, when they were good, finding teams to play. And if you sit back and don't take offers on the table given you right out of the gate, other people are going to snap them up, and you're going to be stuck looking for non-conference games.
Right. I heard of a Week 9 setup that's going to happen. Maybe I think it starts next year against two teams that have been awfully good locally to us. I mean, probably equidistant.
Yeah.
In terms of one in our area going one way and one going in our area in another way, and it's like, wow.
And have battled
that's
in
a
the
great
playoffs.
matchup.
They battled in the playoffs before at Heron, and there you go. There's one team, so you may as well say it, Bree Central.
Sure.
So, I mean, you may as well get it out of the way. It's out there. But, I mean, if you're sitting back looking for games, there are teams, Mount Vernon, Marion, Centralia, Carbondale, going to be scrambling to find games starting in 14-15 because contracts are going to run out. The River to River doesn't want anything to do with South 7. It's too big at most of the time. And there's not a lot of independence. What do you do?
Right. Scary to think about. We need to take a break here on the Saturday Sports Show. When we come back, we'll have a little bit more talk before we get to Jeremy Clodfelder of the Benton Rangers. He's still to come a little bit later on in the hour. You're on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back up to the east.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
We don't care where you purchase the car. We would like to do your service work. They can pull their car right in, they shop, get out, and go into a climate-controlled environment. Our customers really do enjoy that. Our customers are very important to us, and we strive very hard to make the buying experience and the service experience second to none. I know a lot of dealers say that in their advertising, but we live it.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
When you hear the warm, inviting sound of a crackling fire, what comes to mind? A rustic campground? A cozy cabin? How about the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center? Our new family lounges feature a lot of comforts you might not expect. Things like this. No, that's not a babbling brook or serene stream out in the countryside. It's a 2-story waterfall located right here at Good Samaritan. And that's not the only way we're raising the bar for patient comfort. We've added lush healing gardens, as well as wall after wall of beautiful artwork, all designed to create the perfect healing atmosphere. And if all this sounds like music to your ears, we encourage you to check us out. Chances are, we're not too far from where you are right now.
The new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. Raising a hospital, raising the bar.
Southern Illinois now has a better home for sports. It's the all-new WMIXSports.com. Jam-packed with local scores, video highlights, and archives of every local sports broadcast on WMIX. Did your team win? Missed that game-winning shot last night? Didn't catch your favorite coach on the Saturday Sports Show? WMIXSports.com is right at your fingertips. On your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, or your video game console. It's the all-new WMIXSports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting.
And we welcome you back to Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com, all powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Football previews here on the Saturday Sports Show, of course, River to River this week. We'll have the South 7, as well as anybody we may have missed from the BDC or River to River next week. We'll have some scribes on as well to talk about other areas, and it should be a lot of fun next week. We hope you'll join us. Of course, there will be a fundraiser going on for St. Mary's next week at Ford Square. We encourage you to stop by there and test drive a select Ford or Lincoln vehicle. And, of course, $20 per vehicle driven will go back to the St. Mary's Knights. Can't beat that. You want to check it out next week at Ford Square. They'll get underway about 9 o'clock. We'll have more definitive information for you throughout the week on WMIX AM and FM. That said, bottom of the hour here on WMIX Mount Vernon. We'll talk with Jeremy Clodfelder here in just a bit, but things are starting to heat up in terms of high school sports. We're not that far removed from Mount Vernon Rams football coming your way on Friday, August the 30th. 6:30 will be your pregame, featuring a pregame interview with Coach Jared Shaner, of course, before we get things started. That'll be in the pregame at 6:30. Kickoff will be 7 o'clock from Rochester on August the 30th. Can't wait to get to that. We'll have Lady Rams football coming your way here on WMIX, or Lady Rams volleyball coming your way on WMIX as well. It's football weekend, I'm sorry. We'll have Lady Rams volleyball coming your way all season long, of course, as we will get underway there, I believe. Schedule not in the studio yet. I must not have been able to get in here after I printed them, so it's on my desk right now.
Well,
I want to say the 3rd of September against
I think
Centralia.
It is, yeah, at home.
Yep. There will be video for that one, WMIXsports.com, AM 940 as well. We encourage you to check it out. So there's that. We're on Facebook. Don't forget, facebook.com/WMIXsports, the Twitterverse as well. So really, we're busy.
It's getting there. School has started in the county, and most of the area should be in and going right now, I would think. Most of the state. Some schools start earlier than others. I know all the county schools are officially in at this point in Jefferson County. Junior high sports been going on for 7 weeks. Kidding. Seems like it has been. They had practice July 4th, tryouts, and then I kid again. But junior high softball, baseball, well underway. Hard to believe that in a month regionals will start for that.
Ooh, that's scary.
If you think about it, today's August 17th, and basically in a month you'll have softball and baseball regionals going on, and a cross-country regional as well, sectional, state, whatever, in junior high. If you want to get even more scarier than that, take 2 weeks today, or 1 week, add 15 weeks at Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
You want to start talking about that?
Well, yeah. Of course, we'll have, before you know it, we'll go from football and volleyball to basketball. That's crazy.
Once this starts, it goes downhill.
And then we go right into baseball and softball, of which we will have a weekend getaway during the baseball season, as the Rams will be traveling down to Kentucky. They're actually going to have a golf fundraiser coming up. We'll get Tim Holloway on to talk about that closer to the event, as the Rams baseball boosters hosting a golf outing to help fund this weekend trip to, I believe, the Paducah area on Easter weekend.
Yep.
So
Friday,
cool
Saturday deal, and it'd be cool. And Mount Vernon, of course, finishing 4th in state and 3A, getting some recognition not only in the state of Illinois but other states that connect as well. And again, you get the opportunity to go play,
only get better as a result of that. And things are really rolling for Rams baseball right now. Rams football. We'll talk with Jared Shaner next week on the Saturday Sports Show. In our South 7 Conference preview, I actually got to talk to him briefly this week, and things very optimistic in the land of the Ram for this year in 2013. There's going to be some youth in some of the skill positions, but they're going to be backlog in other positions, so things could be quite interesting for the Rams this year as they look to improve upon last year's season.
It's an intriguing team because I think, obviously, based off the success of the freshmen and the sophomore years, last year people are going with that. You throw the fact in that, Centralia lost a ton. Althoff had that disappointing championship game loss in 2A last year. They've returned a little bit, but not like they had. Carbondale has a new coach laid higher. Marion is going to be Marion, but we'll question what they're bringing in this year. So, it's as even and balanced and mixed. I think, obviously, if you look at it, you'd have to go Althoff because what they did last year. But as far as that goes, the non-conference schedule is so tough for Mount Vernon. You don't know where in the schedule you can make some hay, per se.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll talk more about that next week with Coach Shaner. The beauty part is you return everybody on the O-line.
That'll
help.
In high school football, if you can return 3, 4, or 5 guys on your offensive line, you can make around things. But a lot of times you can have your skill players. If you don't have a line, you don't have skills. But if you have a line, you have skills all of a sudden. That's how that works. Oh, that's Herm Edwards. I sound like Herm there.
That sounds exactly like Herm Edwards.
I like Herm Edwards. You can learn a lot from Herm Edwards.
You can learn a lot from Jeremy Clodfelder as well, and he'll join us after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show. Head coach of the Benton Rangers, still to come, here on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpal Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. I can't talk about the high interest rate on our new One product because then I have to get into disclosures that are longer than my commercial spot. I will tell you that our new product, One, is simply the highest rate in the market. One way to find out more is to come in to any of our 5 Jefferson County locations and talk to one of us and find out why you should be One. You can talk to one of us by calling 244-3000. Let me say this one more time. One from Community First Bank. You'll be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
Luxury has been reinvented with the latest innovations from the 2013 Lincoln MKX and MKZ. The king of luxury crossovers is back at Ford Square, Mount Vernon with many innovations including heated and cooled front seats, panoramic vista roof, and available ambient lighting. You'll love everything the MKX has to offer. And don't forget the redesigned 2013 Lincoln MKZ. With elegant fluid lines, every surface is faceted with many dimensions of discovery. Inside you'll find genuine wood appliances with global open power windows and premium leather trimmed interior. For a very limited time, enjoy $4,000 in dealer discount plus 0% financing for up to 60 months on the MKX and MKZ. See their selection of Lincoln Luxury at Ford Square, 1501 Broadway in Mount Vernon, or online at fordsquare.com.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show on AM 940, online at WMIXsports.com, all powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, probably in eighth year now, it seems like. He's been around for quite a while now down at Benton. He is Jeremy Clodfelder, the Benton Rangers, of course, coming off of quite a few playoff runs now, appearances, I believe, back-to-back over the past couple of seasons, looking to do the same thing this year. Coach Clod, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
You know what, doing pretty good, and the Rangers have been doing pretty well over the past couple of seasons, back-to-back playoff runs now, and of course looking to do the same thing here in 2013, but always a tough matchup with the Carterville Lions to start. Before we get to 2013, however, have to feel pretty good coming off of back-to-back playoff appearances.
Yeah, I think we've built some momentum here in terms of the program. We talked about coming in and trying to establish a culture and giving guys a sense of purpose and pride within our program, and we've been 3 winning seasons in a row. We got left out at 10 and 5 and 4. Then we came off an 8-3 second round playoff appearance, and then after graduating a ton of kids that year, we followed up with a 9-2 season, second round playoff appearance as well, and stubbed our toe there in the second round. But I think in terms of momentum, we've certainly got some excitement around our program.
Looking to 2013, in the past couple of years, an immense amount of talent, both skill player and line and defensive-wise, has crossed the graduation aisle there at Benton High School. How many returning players do you have on both sides of the football coming in 2013?
Well, we have 2 returning starters on defense, and then offensively we have a few more. Obviously, we have a quarterback back, and Buttons was an all-South kid who really had as good numbers as anybody in Southern Illinois in terms of run pass. We've got 3 receivers back, Nathaniel Higgins, Tyler Owens, and then our tight end, really, Keegan Dawson's back, and an offensive lineman, Charles Fisher. So we have a few more on that side of the ball back. But we graduated 17 seniors in the 2012 class. So the 2013 class we just graduated 15. So we've graduated kids and replaced them, and right now our goal is to continue to try and replace kids that walked across that stage or out the door for the last time. That's kind of how you build a tradition.
And you build a tradition at Benton High School in 2013, back-to-back playoff appearances, as you mentioned. Heading into 13, 3 of your first 5 games at home, that's got to help a little bit with a younger team heading out and being able to play at Tabor Field those 3 of the first 5 weeks.
Well, I think anytime you can have some familiarity and be at home, that's a good thing. In the last 3 seasons, we've won 13 out of 15 games here at Tabor Field. In the last 2 seasons, it's been 9 out of 10, and last year we won every home game we played. So we'd like to play a few more home games. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean where you play. I know that, but as much or more than it is the team that you're playing, the group of kids that you're playing. But there is a sense of security when you're going to have a bunch of youth, and even though we're not youthful, we're going to have some inexperienced guys out on the field. Having that familiarity and playing in your backyard at your home stadium, that it can go well for you.
Looking down your schedule, of course, you play Carterville, Sparta, and Pinckneyville out of the River to River, and then you join in with Carlisle in Week 9 from the Coquia Conference. Interesting setup of non-conference games. Are Benton High School still looking to match with that crossover as much as possible, or are you looking to kind of mix it up, go crossover a little bit, but also look for non-conference as well outside of the River to River?
Well, I think sometimes you make decisions based on what you need to do for your program. And we like the first 3 games. We feel like Carterville's it's a great game for us. They're a great tradition in Southern Illinois. They're one of the staples down here year in, year out. Sparta's come on strong, and Pinckneyville we've just had some great battles with over the last few years. The Carlisle game a year ago was good for us in terms of a Week 9 game, especially coming off a loss at Harrisburg in the conference championship. And we didn't have our quarterback for the first half. We kind of tried to keep him out. We brought him back in. We were down 2 scores at the half and ended up coming back and winning that game. So it's been a good game, but this will be our last season with them. We're going to take the trip there, and we replaced them with Anna back on the schedule with a multi-year contract. So we'll be full across the board in terms of non-conference games, and that's probably good. You feel like you play some very quality 3A football schools when you play those type of people.
Looking down at the schedule, obviously the Ohio division, very tough. Harrisburg goes to the 4A semis last year. Heron gets in the playoffs. You get in the playoffs. A favorite in your mind, if you'd like to pick one here in the 2013 Ohio division?
Well, I think you have to look at Heron out of the gate. I think they graduated. They didn't graduate much. They were a young team last year, and they kind of came on as the year went. They got better and better, and they ended up sneaking in there as the last team in the field of the 256 at 5-4, winning Week 9 to get in the playoffs. And they have so many people back. I think in terms of a favorite right now, they probably have to be it. But I don't think you can look past a lot of people. Harrisburg's a team that typically reloads year in, year out, regardless of their graduation. Murfreesboro's been a football team that I felt like has just continued to get better and better under Coach Carter. They have some consistency, and they have some. There's just some. I think there's just some mainstay there. It looks like he's there to stay. They're not going through coaches as fast, and obviously Frankfort, I think, is coming on. Coach Berry does a good job there, and Massac County, you don't know what to expect with a new guy. So I think, but out of the gate, I think you have to probably say right now it's going to be Heron.
Looking at your schedule, you mentioned Brian Berry. We had him on earlier in the show in West Frankfort. A very special game when Benton and Frankfort plays anyway, but you guys in both schools moved that to the afternoon. A lot better atmosphere, a lot more there as far as playing a daytime game. What's the excitement level, and how important is that to the Benton football team as well as people in Benton as far as that Benton-Frankfort game is concerned?
Well, when we got here in 2007, we were approached by some people about maybe moving that game back to try and carry on that Turkey Day tradition when they used to play on Thanksgiving Day, and it's become a really, really neat atmosphere regardless of where we play. It's typically a tailgate game for either one of us. It's usually between a noon and 2 o'clock kickoff. It could be homecoming. You kind of pull up on a Saturday afternoon. There's just that flavor. It's a special feel. It's kind of a playoff atmosphere type of deal. Crowds are big because there's so much tradition in the game. There's old guys in the stands that have played against each other. Next year will be the 98th meeting of the two schools. It's a great atmosphere, I think, for our kids, and we put a big emphasis on it. We put a big emphasis on it for defending the trophy. There's a traveling trophy that goes back and forth. I hope it doesn't go back and forth. I hope it just stays. But we put emphasis on it because it's a community game because so many people played in that game. You're talking 98 years worth of people this year, and it's a nice tradition.
Well, nice tradition indeed, and something else has become a tradition, at least to us, is the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. And this week's question is, what was your favorite subject in school?
PE, does that count?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, PE and ball. But actually, I'll tell you what, history was my favorite, without question. I love to go to PE, but in terms of an academic subject and sitting in a classroom, without question, history was my favorite.
Don't feel bad because there was a lot of people that picked PE. Coach Carnes, looking back here, Coach Roper, Coach Beery was also in a PE kind of mood. I did history as did you. So Coach Dietering did math, so it kind of gives you an idea. Coach Martin at DuQuoin picked math. So you kind of get an idea where everybody's been this morning. So you're not out alone with the PE pick and the history.
Well, and I hate to be prejudiced because I didn't really like world history. I'm much more in tune with U.S. history.
There's nothing wrong with that. I was too. I liked U.S. history more. There's so much to that's uncovered in U.S. history that it's enjoyable to learn and read about, whether you're watching on TV or reading about or going to sites.
Absolutely.
Amen to that. Coach Claude, good luck with the Carterville Lions on Friday night, August the 30th. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Jeremy Clodfelder, Benton Rangers, of course, last year a postseason run, and this year maybe more of the same in the River to River, Ohio. We need to take a break here on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXsports.com. Back after these.
Convenience and prompt service is what the Medicine Shop Pharmacy is all about. Pharmacy owner Eric Black wants you to know that his pharmacy's drive-thru staff will have your prescription ready in 10 or 15 minutes. There are 2 drive-thru windows and a staff member is always ready to serve you with a smile. Another great service is our delivery. We'll bring your medication to your home or office, just to make your life a little easier. Here's pharmacist and pharmacy owner Eric Black.
What differentiates us is the level of service, the level of convenience. We have 2 drive-through windows, delivery here in town to business or home. And those kinds of things you just cannot get. And when you couple that with the connection, the personal connection that we feel with our customers and they feel with us, it really is we really have no contest with the chains.
Make the Medicine Shop Pharmacy your pharmacy of choice. They're locally owned and support the community too. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon, or call 618-242-8776.
And welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXsports.com. Powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, well, one of 2 now WMIX sports correspondents we'll have for you this season. He is Todd Rushing. Todd, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Obviously, first question out of the gate is it's probably going to have to feel weird not to be coaching this year, but instead going to see games on our behalf.
Yeah, this is the first time in over 20 years I haven't been out there for opening day practice. It was a little rough. It's been tough all along, but it got real rough Wednesday morning. But I'm still going to follow the game, and who knows what the future holds for me. But I still want to stay in touch with the game because that's why I did it, because I love the game.
So I also have to ask and follow up with: is your golf game going to improve any because of this?
Well, it always does, usually just before school starts, and then I have to quit before football starts. So now I should be able to play a few rounds in the fall and hopefully keep it sharp. So hopefully it will improve. If it doesn't, then I'm probably going to go into depression or something.
Well, that's that. In our group of golfers, that depression's there all the time, obviously, between all the banter we have. You're going to see it from a different view. Have you, our other correspondent, John Shadowins, he picks different games, and then, he goes with that flex schedule, and he decides week to week after a couple weeks where he's going to go. Have you started to look at and pick your schedule, or are you going to go with the flex schedule as well?
I think I'm just going to kind of go week to week and see which one game I think could be the matchup that either is I think will be the best matchup or one that intrigues me. I'm kind of leaning week 1 maybe go down and watch Nick coach his first game at Carbondale, or that again it really intrigues me a lot as the Carbondale Benton matchup. But I think I'm just going to play it week by week and see what the matchups are. I really haven't looked at the schedule yet. I know there's a few games down the road that definitely interest me, but I'm just going to play it by ear.
Playing it by ear, we've been talking about the River to River Conference today, a conference obviously you know a lot about, especially on the Mississippi side. Let's first go with the Ohio division. A lot of people, including ourselves, looking at Heron as a favorite, all they return. In your thoughts and minds, favorites or underdogs that could come out and win that Ohio division?
Well, I think Heron is the favorite. I think there's always teams. Benton's been very strong last few years, and I think those kids that maybe even though they lost a lot of people, there's always kids going to develop because now they've got it rolling there. And I think Harrisburg, you got to watch them. They graduate a lot of people. That success like that, it carries over sometimes. And and one team that I thought was really greatly improved last year and always has athletes that had trouble getting them out and getting them organized. It seems now that they're kind of coming together is Murfreesboro. They got a good athlete center. So I think they're going to be very similar on that side to the Mississippi side. That you got one favorite, I think, in Heron, but I think it's a dogfight after that. If somebody slips up on them, then it could just create a real battle.
Going to the other side, you're more familiar with the Mississippi Division. A lot of people, including ourselves, again, Carterville, it seems to be Williamson County has the big dogs, Carterville. But I don't think you can look past maybe AJ or DuQuoin, even though DuQuoin's got 5 of their first 7 games on the road. More of a balance after Carterville this year than in past years with the Mississippi Division, it seems.
Yeah, I think Carterville is the favorite, and as you said, you always got AJ and DuQuoin as great teams. But Nashville's going to surprise people, I think, because they had some very good. They're going to be young. They're going to, have been on a lot of juniors and some sophomores. But they got some talent there. And Sparta's much improved. They were a much better football team last year, and I think they've got better numbers this year. Got a couple good athletes out that wasn't playing in the past. And the Panthers here in Pinckneyville, a lot of people don't realize that we graduated just 3 kids or 4 off both sides of the ball. We got the majority of those kids returning and get the quarterback back in Colton, who missed over half the season last year, and they're the kind of team that's I expect some good things out of them.
Expecting good things from another side, off the field into more of the scheduling aspect. Pinckneyville, you coached at, had a schedule where you do have some crossovers with Benton and Frankfort, but you also had Dupo and Redbud on the schedule. From the Pinckneyville perspective, the crossover talk in the river to river, would you like to see a 4-week schedule of non-conference crossover, or would you like to have it where you have an opportunity for at least 1 week of that schedule to go out and find a team on your own that you would like to play?
I think it needs to be at least 1 week on your own, and I know they really push that. It's hard to get games scheduled, but there's such a discrepancy down the size. I mean, I looked this year, our kindergarten back in Pinckneyville has only got like 60-some kids in it. If we get 3 or 4 classes in a row like that, you're talking about a school of 300 in a few years down the road here. We're down in the 390s or 400 now, and I know they say, well, we'll let this team play that team. We'll make the crossover where you're more competitive size-wise, but that puts a burden on the bigger teams too. You're telling them now they have to play the Harrisburgs and the Herons every year, and I just don't know if there's really a fair way to do it. And the real problem seems to be these mega conferences that have started, and I haven't addressed them, and I wish that's what they'd address on that aspect instead of telling people, to forcing people who they have to play.
Looking at that and the mega conferences, is there a reason as to maybe what these high schools should do? Maybe I know there's a problem with the system because people are having trouble finding games whether you're too big or too good. But is it a time maybe for a sweeping change at the high school football here in Illinois to kind of help alleviate scheduling issues and scheduling problems?
Yeah, I do need some kind of change, and I'm not smart enough to know what it is. But I know what a lot of these conferences have done. They go to these big conferences, and you basically guarantee yourself a lot of times 4 and 5 teams out of your conference going, and it also eliminates scheduling problems. Your schedule set is cut in stone forever. And I don't know what the answer is. And it's tougher here in Southern Illinois, too, because we're so limited in the number of teams to play. You get Central Illinois and Northern Illinois where there's lots more football teams within an hour drive of you. It's not as bad. But down here, when you really look at it, we're limited. You got the River, the Black Diamond, and the South Seven, and there's such a discrepancy in those schools a lot of times it's hard to find teams to play. And it really limits us and makes it tough on the Herons and the Harrisburgs. And I really do sympathize with them. And, Coach Garnes and I've talked about it a lot. We really don't know the answer. It's tough because, we had as a view from Pinckneyville, we didn't want to have to play a Heron or a Harrisburg. And then on Hancock, I told him they didn't want to have to play a Marion either. And it's basically the same story on both sides there.
Well, same story indeed. And a story that changes from week to week is the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. And this week we want to know, what was your favorite subject in school?
Believe it or not, math. I guess that's why I married a math teacher. But math was my favorite subject. Science is right up there with it, but math was my favorite subject.
I know it's math because I've seen you pencil whip a golf course scorecard before pretty well. I know it's math.
It's my best club in my bag.
Sharpest wood you have.
I can always rely on that club. I'm constant with it.
Coach, obviously we appreciate the time. We look forward to doing this every week here on the Saturday Sports Show, and I can't thank you enough for wanting to be one of our correspondents this year.
Well, I enjoy it. As I said, I feel that's part of I always felt that was part of our duty as a coach. Sometimes it wasn't fun to do. And, not I don't say fun, but it wasn't necessarily convenient. But, you have to make those adaptations and work with people. And I've always enjoyed you guys. It's been great to work with.
Thank you very much. We look forward to that relationship.
Hold them back till I get there.
I'll do it. I can do best I can. I got the reins out.
Okay.
All right.
That's Todd Rushing, WMIX sports correspondent, and of course, famed coach of the Pinckneyville Panthers. And where was it before? Redbud?
Yep.
Before Pinckneyville. Did a good job there and did a good job in Pinckneyville. And speaking of the Panthers, we do hope to catch up with Todd Thomas next week as we'll preview the South 7 Conference and hope maybe catch up with some of the guys we missed, including Johnny Hollis, and basically talk the South 7 Conferences. We'll try to catch up with Ray Calling, Kerry Martin. Of course, Jared Shaner will be here. We know that. And Nick Hill of Carbondale. I have a feeling we'll be able to get him rather easily. And then talk to some other guys as well. Maybe Mr. Beitler there of Hamilton County will be able to join us as well. All of these guys we tried to catch up with, just busy when we did their conferences. And no problem there. We'll try to get them next week here on the Saturday Sports Show. We need to take one more break. We'll come back, set the tone for high school football season here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
I'm Matthew Heller with a look at your next rad weather. Times of clouds and sun today with a shower or thunderstorm in a few spots and a high of 80. Then partly cloudy tonight, low 58, and times of clouds and sun tomorrow with a thunderstorm and a high of 84. Looking ahead at Monday, we'll have partly sunny skies. It will be warm and humid with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm and a high of 87. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
America is a nation on wheels. Everyone has at least one automobile. We use them for shopping, work, everything we do. But they can be a threat. Some accidents can't be prevented. Your professional Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crown View in Mount Vernon, can help protect you from a large financial loss when an accident happens. Call Page Insurance today at 242-7000 about low-cost auto insurance from Pekin Insurance. Ask them about the many money-saving discounts that are available. Depend on your hometown professionals.
Pekin Insurance.
And we welcome you back, Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you with us as we wrap up the program today. River to River Conference preview. We felt we did it justice. Some guys that we'd hoped to catch up with that we weren't able to connect with, but we'll have some of those guys over the coming weeks here on the Saturday Sports Show. You won't want to miss it. Mount Vernon Ranch football gets underway on Friday, August the 30th, 6:30 pregame here on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. Video streaming as well on the aforementioned website. As we go to Rochester to take on the Rockets. That should be fun. We'll talk to Jared Shaner about that next week.
Saw that facility early this summer. Been there, saw that, be there. Early reports, obviously they've lost a ton. They return a lot defensively at Rochester. New quarterback, new running back. Some of the beasts are gone, but they're still considered a favorite to win the CS8 and make a run in 4A again. So not going to be easy head on that long trip on the cheese to Rochester.
No, it's not. And, of course, that contract ends this year, so now you got to worry about a week one opponent in the future for that as well. And teams are struggling to find opponents. I thought that's very interesting to talk to some of our coaches today and get their thoughts on how difficult scheduling has become, because now it's not just the bigger and or most successful schools. Everybody having trouble finding games as their conference isn't closed. That's the most interesting aspect. We've heard it from everybody.
Well, and again, you've got all kinds of factors. Too big, too good, closed conferences, co-ops. Don't know how long the people are going to stay together and play friendly. All these factors, the way the system is, all you have to do is win 5 games with enough playoff points. So teams are going to schedule teams that they can win. And if those teams are getting beat all the time, those teams are going to get out, and then they're up a creek. I mean, it's a year-to-year thing with teams. And you could have a deal set, and, no, we're not playing you, we're going somewhere else. It's hard, and a lot of schools have to scratch and claw to find games, not only for this year, but there's schools looking now for next year, not 2 or 3 years down the road, but for next year. And we're not talking just one game. Some schools looking for 2 and 3 games as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't want to say it's an epidemic, but it's almost an epidemic at times in places. And, just because some schools both have openings in the same week doesn't equate that a game is going to happen for different reasons. And definitely a time you have to be proactive. It's a scary time to be an athletic director or a football coach, because football, which may or may not even be the most popular sport in this great state of Illinois, just like everywhere else, it rules the roost.
It drives it. That's your money. It's a money-making sport like basketball. It's similar to college, not as much money or everything going on, autograph signers, but it drives things and it drives sports, and it's going to be the schedule. As long as the system remains the same, it's going to be tough.
Of course, the conference that helped drives us to South 7. We'll talk about it next week here on the Saturday Sports Show. We'll lead off with Jared Trainer. Of course, we'll preview the Mountford and Rams, talk about that Week 1 matchup with the Rochester Rockets. All right here, same time next week after the 8 o'clock news, right here on AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. This is WMIX Mount Vernon. Of course, it's a free service from Withers Broadcasting. Find the station site at WMIX94.com. We're back next week.